Hey guys, it's Ben here from Jammin Media, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how I rig up a car for audio. So how I record audio is one of the most requested questions on my social media. Every time I post a reel, someone will ask how I got the audio recording, how I did it, what mics I use, what hardware I use, how I set it up, where I place them. And in this video, I'm hoping I can show you roughly how I do this. Obviously, every single car is different, so we kind of just have to work with the car we have in front of us. In this case, it's my Lexus ISF. So we're just going to use this as a dummy or a demo to hook up some microphones to the exhaust and to the engine bay. So we'll have a recording of both the engine sounds, the clicking, the fan belts, all that sort of thing. Sometimes the intake. If it's a turbo, you'll get the intake spool and maybe a bit of dosing. And on the exhaust, we're just going to have a general sound from the exhaust area. We're not going to put a microphone inside the exhaust or in front of it. We're going to capture what our ears would hear if we were standing next to the exhaust. So it's nothing fancy. We're not going crazy with the frequencies and what we need to capture. We're just going to capture everything in the one area. So the first thing we'll do is we'll have a look at all the gear that we need to hook up a car, to rig up a car with audio.
Alright, let's take a look at the hardware, starting with the portable audio recorder. Any model that has 2 inputs will work. There's so many to choose from, but I use the Zoom H5, which has 2 XLR inputs on the bottom and 2 built-in microphones on top, giving me 4 channels total. Another important feature to look for is individual gain control for each input, so you can make fine adjustments later. Most recorders run on batteries with the option to run it from a USB power pack or even from a USB port in the car. The Zoom H5 records high quality split channel 24-bit WAV files, which really helps when processing the audio as you get individual files for each channel. I used to use a Zoom H1 and a battery powered XLR mixer to achieve the same result, albeit lower quality 16-bit. It's nice now having it all in one unit. To mount the recorder in the car, I'll be using these 4.5-inch heavy-duty suction cups with an 11-inch articulating arm, also known as a magic arm. I'll use these to attach it to the windscreen and also to the back of the recorder like this. If you don't mount the recorder, you run the risk of creating recording artifacts if a cable were to move or get knocked while the car is in motion. I've posted a link to both the magic arm and suction mounts in the description below. And if you're already shopping for the magic arm, do not get the cheap ones. They just don't hold any weight. Ask me how I know. The most important part of the kit are the microphones. I chose the Rode M5 matching pair. These come as a quality balanced twin pack, and they have a very high SPL of 140 decibels, which means it can hold up to high pressure sound waves without distorting. Everyone has experienced their phone's microphone giving up while trying to record a loud exhaust. That's the microphone itself having a bad day. Without decent high quality mics, I wouldn't be able to record loud exhausts like Grant's Hood Exit 2JZ Altezza. Any car with a straight pipe exhaust that pops and bangs would completely destroy a mic without a high SPL rating. So why did I pick the Rode M5 pair? Well, it comes down to price versus quality. There's the cheaper option like the Shure SM57, or if you're loaded or making action movies, you have the DPA 4061. I'm not making movies, just social media videos, so I didn't want to spend $1,500 on a pair of 4061s, but still tick most of the boxes. The Rode M5 twin set costs $350, which is great compared to many other mics which range from $250 to $700 each. The question I get asked all the time is, how do I reduce wind noise? Well, I use Dead Cat wind socks. They're fake fur socks which fit over the microphone and reduce the sound energy from reaching the microphone diaphragm. You can buy these from lots of places in different shapes and sizes, but these ones are from AliExpress. I'll link them below. You'll notice this mic has a suction cup attached. It's going to be mounted on the bumper facing the exhaust. I'll show you how I do that shortly. The suction cup screws onto a normal microphone holder using a 3/8 inch bolt, so it's never going to fall off. The dead cat and mic holder are held together with a massive cable tie and electrical tape to hold the cable in. The final bit of the kit is some easy to remove painter's tape. You'll need to secure any loose cables to the body of the car, as a cable tapping against the body in high wind could introduce some distortion or artifacts in your recording. So this tape can secure everything down. It's also easy to peel off after the recording session. Often I work with people's pride and joy, and I don't want to ruin their paint or leave a mess for them to clean up. That's all for the hardware. Let's move on to mounting.
Welcome to the rear end of my car. So the few things we want to do here, first is clean the surface. We want a nice pristine surface to stick the suction cup to. So give it a nice wipe down. No dust is really important. Now next up, we will quickly just clean the suction cup. You never know if dust or debris is stop it from making a nice strong connection. Next up, we're going to install it about 30 centimeters away from the face of the exhaust and give it a pump until it's nice and solid. That's pretty much it in terms of mounting the hardware. Everything's on there solid. You can change the angle. My hardware allows it anyway, so you can have it pointing directly at it or off to the side. I like to have it pointing sort of just past the face of the exhaust tips. That's just from experience. That's pretty much it down here. All we have to do now is run the cable to the front. And we'll do that right now.
I use a 3-meter shielded XLR cable for each microphone, so I always have enough to reach any mounting location on the car. I try to feed the cable inside the car as much as possible, but not all cars have internal boot access. So in those cases, I run the cable outside using tape to secure it down, and the cables end up in the passenger seat. I try to avoid jamming cables as much as possible, but I've discovered it doesn't impact recordings. Maybe over time, the cable could get damaged, so it's a good idea to have a spare one in your kit.
Alright, now that the exhaust is done, we're going to work on the engine bay. What you're looking for is intake noise, turbo spool, maybe some fan, some belt noises, injected noises, anything that is mechanical and clicky and metallic. You want to sort of try and pick all of that up in one go. Again, it's trial and error. Every car is different. Every car has different layout. Some will have the intake here, some will have the turbo over here, some will have some crazy setup all over the place. It's different in every car. So again, it just comes down to knowing roughly the right area to record. So where I like to place my mic, and again, this is just picking up a large area of sound. So you could have it sitting here or here or here, and it's gonna sound the same. My car in particular, I like to have the microphone sitting on top of the airbox. Sometimes it can help to have the microphone pointing away from the wind. Sometimes the wind from the car can get up underneath here, and hitting directly on the microphone will definitely cause some wind noise. There's nothing you can do to get rid of that except placing the microphone away from the wind. Like I said, a lot of cars are different. Some are easier to mic up, some are harder. You just work with what you've got. First things first, let's undo this cable and just get it out of the way. Like I said, I'll do it backwards, and then I'll run the cable up against the rubber around the hood. You'll find that there are small gaps here and there which you can run the cable through, and you know it won't get pinched by the hood. So run the cable up there, around the back, position it underneath the window wipers, and carefully close the hood. Just double checking all of the connections are not going to get jammed up. There we go. Keep these below the window wipers just in case it rains, and like these ones are automatic, so they'll just turn on and just rip the cable all over the place, and it could do some damage. So you want to avoid having the cable anywhere that it's going to get caught on anything moving. So just keep feeding it around to the passenger door. Now this is where the tape comes in handy. What will happen is if this cable was dangling in the wind, making little clicking noises, that may potentially get picked up on the recording, and then you'll have to try and edit it out later. So you want to avoid cables flapping around. It's easy peel, could say it's like painter's tape. That's all you need. It's just something basic. It doesn't have to look good. It's not going to be on camera. No one's going to see it. So next we're inside the car. This is where it all comes together. We've got our engine and sitting on it, sitting on the exhaust XLR. So we've got our 2 microphones coming into the cabin, and we are going to quickly mount this to the windscreen, just like that. And we're going to take our 2 inputs, plug them into channel 1 and channel 2. It's pretty much the hardware side of things set up. When it comes to actually setting up the recorder, every recorder is different, so I'm not going to walk you through how to specifically set up the settings for this one, but will say that you should see some audio, especially that I'm talking. You can see the audio bouncing because that's picking up my voice inside the garage here. So that's a good sign that everything's working and plugged in. I also like to run these microphones as well, pick up some backup noise, some ambient noise. It's a good way to talk in the car and have it recorded, so you can ask the owner questions, you can get some more information about the car, anything that will help create a story later on. So you can see that they're working, we've got some audio bouncing, and the next thing to do is to go for a drive. So what's happening is I'm recording a separate track, a WAV file for the intake and a separate track for the exhaust. And I'm able to mix those back into a stereo file. You can see that when I put my foot down and the exhaust gets louder, you can see it getting really high. So we want to just turn that down a little bit more. About halfway. Now we're going to do the same thing for the intake, the left. And you can see they don't really go above halfway, which is what we want. So once you've got your level sorted, it's just a matter of going for a drive. And then my first boost, you can see that everything peaked, so we're going to turn them down even more. Try it again. Now they're too quiet. So it is hard to get that perfect balance. A little bit here and a little bit there. So right now you're listening to this microphone on here, and what we'll do is we'll change to the intake only. So this is intake only now. And this is exhaust only now. Sounds pretty good. Now we've got those two, we'll put them together and I'll play the same clip.
And that's it. We now have 2 high quality WAV files which we can process in a program like Adobe Audition. I plan on doing a follow-up video on how I process files and using them in an edit, so please subscribe to see that. Also smash the like button as it'll really help my channel grow.